Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. In today's video, what we're going to be going over is creating a very basic rope swing system in which we can jump onto a rope and jump off of it, and when we're on, we can climb up and down and swing forwards, backwards, left and right. Now there's no animations included within this, as there's not really any for free anywhere, so I'm just going over the basic fundamentals and mechanics of creating it today, but if you want, I can create another video in the future where we implement animations. But let me show you what we're going to create today. So we have a rope here, and I should say this is also all physics-based as well, so it's nice and realistic. So we have a rope, we can run, hold space to jump onto it, and you can see we're now attached here. Again, there's no animations, so it doesn't look great, but it's the mechanics and the functionality we're going for. Now, if we were to hold W, we're going to swing forwards. If we hold S, and we're going to swing back. Now, we can do this a lot and build up momentum like so. And then if I were to let go of space, we're going to jump off like so. Now, we can jump back on. And I'll show you some other stuff. We can then also swing left and right as well using A and D. So you can see we're now swinging left, right, forward and backwards. And if I were to hold E, we're going to climb up. And there'll be an upper limit, so we can't climb up any higher than we don't want. And if I hold Q, we're going to climb down. And again, there's a lower limit as well. And this is all incredibly easy to customize. Let me get off so it stops swinging so I can show you that a bit better. But again, this is all very easy to customize. So you can increase the top height and decrease the lower height if you want, or increase and decrease them as well. So again, I'm only climbing up to here because that's where the ceiling is, and I'm only climbing down to here because that's where the end of the rope is, but you can modify this very, very easily. And again, you can change how easy it is to swing with this amount of momentum as well. Very, very easy to customize and change all of this system. But we're going over the basic fundamentals of creating this today without the animations, like I say, but it's a nice basic system which works pretty well, and again, it's all physics-based. But without further ado, that's enough blabbering from me. Let's get on with the video. So let me delete this code and I'll show you how I've done it. So what we want to do first is we want to actually create our blueprint, which is going to control climbing on the rope and swinging on it. So to do that, we can hit Control Space to open up our content browser. And then I'm going to right click and create a blueprint class, creating an actor. I'm going to call this BP_rope swing, as that makes the most sense for me. But you can name this whatever you want. And we're going to open this up straight away. Now in here, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a box collision, as you can see perfectly here. And the scale of this, which I'm going to do, which is the same one I did at the start of the video that you saw. So if you want the same thing as me, copy this. I'm going to have the dimensions or the scale be 1 on the X, 1 on the Y, and 2.2 on the Z. So we have something which looks a little bit like this. And essentially this box is going to be, if you are in this box with the players in this box, they can grab onto the rope and swing. If they're not in this box, then they can't grab onto it. So what we want to do next is go to the event graph. We'll delete these 3 nodes and we'll right click on our box collision, add event and add on component, begin overlap. And this is where we're now going to obviously see if the player is inside of this box. So what we can do here is right click and get player controller, drag out of this and enable input. Then what we're going to do is hold control and change the get player controller from the target to the player controller. And a target will be get a reference to self, and we can connect this into the event we just created. So what this is going to do is when the player overlaps the box collision, so they're overlapping this blueprint, we're going to enable the input of this blueprint so that the player can then control this blueprint so they can grab onto the rope and swing and all of that if they want to, or if they don't press anything, then nothing will happen. However, they have the ability to do that if that's what they want. So we're going to select this, hit C to comment this, and just name it enable input. Nice and simple like so. And now that the player can interact with this blueprint, what we're going to do is actually create the getting on and off the rope. So let's just go to the right of this, and I'm going to right click and get the space bar keyboard event. Now what you can do is you can obviously create an actual input mapping as well, but just for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm getting the space bar keyboard event here. And so now what we want to do is actually attach the player to the rope. So what we should do first is actually create the rope. And we're not actually doing that within this blueprint. What we're going to do is minimize this tab to go back into our level. Go to the add actors in the top left. And we're going to search for cable. And we want to get a cable actor like so. And the reason why we're getting the cable actor here instead of getting the cable in the blueprint is having this actor here just gives us more options to do what we want. So what I'm going to do is move this up to the top of my room here like so, where I want the rope to start. And let's just put that in the middle there like so for the moment. I'll probably move it over. And I'm going to untick attach end. And you can see it's dangling a bit more like this. And we have the nice physics that we want for our rope as well. I'll move this over. And what I'll do is I'll set the cable length to a longer value. So let's say 500 to see what that looks like. Not perfect. Let's go 750. See if that's any better. That's good. I think maybe a little bit longer. Let's go for 950. I don't want it to be too long, but I think, yep, that looks good. It's at a perfect height for us to be able to swing across like this. And obviously you can customize this perfectly for the gap and the size that you have. But for me, I think this one is going to look good. Now, obviously, the longer it is, the weirder the physics is going to be on it. But you can customize this however you want. And also, if you don't like how the physics is acting, what you can do is change the cable gravity scale. So I think actually I like to set it to 0.6 for the rope swing like this. And then what we'll also want to do is probably decrease the cable length slightly. So you can see it's just kind of swinging a bit slower. Now you can change this for whatever you want. So for example, if you have vines, they might move a bit slower than a rope. So just do whatever you want, but I think I like 0.6 for the cable gravity scale. Once we have our rope in here, what we also want to do is now drag in our BP rope swing blueprint into the level. And we're probably going to want to actually increase the size of our box collision now as well. But what we can do is drag BB rope swing onto our cable actor. And then you can see you can choose a socket or bone. And we're going to choose cable end. And now you can see it's moving with that rope. So it's going to be swinging with the rope as well, which means our collision for getting on and off the rope will be moving with it as well. So that's going to be perfect. Now you can see it isn't actually, with it. It's just moving where it's going. So what we can do is just click the arrow next to location to reset to default value, and it will now be attached to the rope like so, and we'll do the same with the rotation as well. So now you can see it's moving perfectly with the rope like so. So now we can actually customize the scale of our box collision to be even better. So let's minimize this slightly, and then what I'll do, that's actually going on my other monitor, so I'll do that. Select the box collision, and then we can update this. So I think the X is looking good at 1, and the Y is probably looking good as well. Maybe increase that slightly to 2, let's say. So that looks good. And then, so actually, it's the Z is probably like that. Yeah, so the Z is acting as the X now. So we'll have both of those as 2, and now the X is the Z because it's just been rotated like that. So let's set this to 5, for example, to see what that looks like. I think that is looking better. But you can see it's obviously going below it as well as above, so we don't want that. So what we can do is just increase the Z value of our BP rope swing here, like so. Although again, actually it's the X now, isn't it? So you can increase and decrease this like so. So it's going to be moving up and down the rope. And then we'll increase this again. So you can just play about with this to get the perfect values for you and your rope. Obviously the different size and different scale and different locations will mean it's different for everyone. But this is how you're going to be customizing it to get it perfect for you. I think maybe slightly smaller than that. Let's say 14. Actually, 15 might have been perfect. So we'll do something like this, maybe 14.5. It doesn't need to be perfect, but again, you can see this is what it is. But as we were saying before, the box collision is where you can get on and off the rope, so just keep that in mind. So if you want there to be a little bit of leeway underneath it, and you don't want to go all the way up to the top, keep that in mind as well. Now, you don't just want this box collision where you can get on, you also want it to be where you can climb as well, because this is also handling the input as well. So I think for me, this is going to look fine. So we have something like this, and you can see it's moving with the rope perfectly as well. So that's awesome. So let's go back into our rope swing blueprint. And now the whole reason why we're doing that first is because we need to now attach the character to the cable. So now that we have the cable or the rope in the world, what we can do is create a variable in the rope swing blueprint, and we can call this cable ref or rope ref, whatever makes the most sense for you. But I'm calling it cable because that's what the actor is. And then the variable type will be cable actor object reference, perfectly like so. And we'll make this instance editable like this. We can compile, go back into the level, so we'll minimize this, select our BP rope swing like so. And you can see we now have cable reference, and we can click the eyedropper tool and then select the cable that we have in the level. And now we have linked this specific cable to this specific rope swing blueprint. So these are now linked. So when you go inside this blueprint, you are climbing this specific rope. So that's really cool. So we'll go back into our blueprint again now. And what we can do is attach the character to that. So what I want to do first is right click and get player character. Out of this, we're going to get actor location, because I just want to very quickly create a reference to the current location of the player before attaching them to the rope, because I want to make sure the height stays the same. And this will make more sense in a second when we get to it. But we'll right click this and split the structure pin, right click the Z and promote this to a variable and name this player height. Again, I just want to make this, just helps it be a nice seamless transition attaching it. And pressed of the spacebar will go to set player height like so. Then we can come out of get player character again, and we are now going to attach actor to actor. So we are attaching the actor of the get player character to the parent actor, which is going to be our cable reference. So we'll drag in our cable reference here and put that in parent actor. So we are now attaching the player character to the cable, and we'll connect that into player height like that, or set player height, I should say, sorry, like this as well. So now it's on the spacebar. And what we want to do as well is we have the location, rotation, and scale rules. These are default set to keep relative, but what I want to do is location, I will snap to target, rotation, I will keep world, and scale, I will keep world. And once we've done this, we also want to set the socket name to be the end of the cable, so we'll do cable end. So what's going to happen is the player will be attached to the end of the cable, and the location will snap there. However, the rotation and scale will be kept the same as what they already were. So we're only really moving the location, we're not changing the rotation or scale. So let's minimize this and hit play to test this out to see what happens in a moment. If I wait for the rope to stop swinging like it is, what we should see is if I jump into the rope and hit space, we're going to be attached to the bottom of the rope. Nothing else is going to happen in a moment, but we're going to be stuck there, attached to the bottom of the rope, moving with it. So if I can wait for this to stop swinging a little bit, I'll jump on it as it comes back around again. You can see we kind of go to the bottom of it. Now it is breaking a little bit and it's glitching around and we're moving like this. And we're falling. This is because we haven't finished setting it up, but you can see, as glitchy as it is, because we're only halfway through the code, we are being attached to the end of the cable and moving with it. So let's go back into our BP rope swing and continue finishing off this code. So again, we're now attaching it ourselves to the cable. After this, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually clean this up a slight little bit here. So I'm going to duplicate the get player character and connect that one into there instead. And then what I'm going to do is double click this to get some root nodes to keep it looking nice and organized. And I will drag out of this get player character and I will set actor location. This will connect into the end of attach actor to actor, going up here. And I'll get some more root nodes again, like so. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to right click new location and split the structure bin. Then we're going to come out of our get player character again. And we're going to get actor location. Right click the return value and split the structure pin with X going to X, Y going into Y, and then simply the Z is going to be our player height that we got earlier. So we'll connect that into there like so. And now the reason why I'm doing this is because the snap to target of our location rule is going to move the player to be at the end of the cable. Now I want that to happen for the X and the Y, however the height I want to keep the same as what the player was when attaching themselves. So when we go in, if we jump on the rope here, we'll be attached on the rope here. Otherwise, it will always be going down here. So that is why I'm doing this like so. And then after this, I'm going to come out of get player character again, and we will set movement mode. So we set the movement mode out of the character movement, connecting that into set actor location, and we'll set this to be none. Now this is going to fix the problem of us constantly falling down. So if we set it to none, then we're not going to be falling when we get attached. Because as far as the code is concerned, the player is not moving. We are just attached to a cable and the cable is moving instead. Because that's what we want to do. We're controlling the cable, not the player. So I'm going to keep the character movement down here actually, as we will also need it later on. Because I just want to make sure that this looks nice and organized and neat. And so that is all we need to do for getting onto the rope. So if we compile this, we can minimize it and hit play, we should be able to see that what will happen now is when we jump onto the rope and hit space, we're going to be attached onto the rope wherever we currently were when jumping onto it. If I jump over and hit space, you can see we're attached where we currently were. And again, because of how long it is, it's kind of a bit glitchy. The physics are kind of a bit weird, but I've just got a really long one. But you can see we are attached to the bottom of it like so. Now you can see the rotation, I'm kind of a bit backwards like this. A way to change the rotation is just here. On the rotation rule, you can change it from keep world to keep relative or snap to target, whatever it is which you think looks best for you. So let's try with snap to target and see what that looks like. Go to jump on and press space. You can see snap to target puts us upside down like that, which is why I found that I think keep world is the best one that you can do. Let's continue on with the rest of the code for jumping off of it as well. So we're going to do that off of release. So what I want to do is you have to hold space and letting go jumps you off. So when you press space, it will attach you. When you release space, it's going to detach you. So very simply, we can come out of the get player character and then just do detach from actor. So pressing attaches, releasing detaches perfectly like so. Nice and easy and simple like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of the character movement and I will set the movement mode again. Now this time we're not setting it to none, we're setting it to falling. Because setting it to none up here gets us onto the cable. So to take us off, we kind of just want to reset it. But we don't want to go to walking because we're jumping off. So we want to set it to falling like so. Then you could just leave it at that. But what I want is I want the player to kind of jump off. So they don't just come off of it with the physics launching them. I want the player to kind of jump off, as that will be a little bit better and a bit nicer for the game. So what we can do for that is very simply come out of get player character again. And then we're going to launch character like so. Connect that into the end of set movement mode. And I'll double click this to get some root nodes to keep it looking nice and organized. Coming out like this. And then in the launch character, what we want to do is we want to go in the direction the player is going. So, once again, we're going to come out of get player character, and we're going to get actor forward vector. And then get player character again, we're going to get actor up vector. So we're going to launch them forward and up slightly, as that is how I want them to jump. So we'll go like this. And then out of get actor forward vector, we're going to go into a multiply. Right click the bottom value and change it to a float double precision. And we're going to set this to, let's say, 300. And then do the same for get actor up vector. Go into a multiply by a float, and let's say 50 for this one. And then we're going to add these two values together. So we'll add them like this. Now what this is doing is we're saying that we want to go 300 units forward and 50 units up. And we're adding them together to make sure that it's doing both of them. And then that can go into the launch velocity like so. So if you want to go further forward or less forward, lower the multiplication here. And if you want to go higher up or lower down, lower the multiplication here. It's very, very simple and easy to understand. I'm just going to straighten these up to, again, keep it looking nice and organized like so. And then that is what we need to do to jump and launch the character off of the rope. Now the final thing we're going to do here is simply come out of launch character and disable input. As we have now jumped off of the rope, we no longer want to be controlling it, so we're going to be disabling the input. So player controller will be get player controller. And that is simply all we need to do to be able to get on and get off of the rope. The target for disable input as well, wants to be self like this. So if we compile, save this, we can minimize and have a play with this. What I might do is I think I might actually make this rope a bit smaller, as I think it is way too long. So let's go to the cable actor. I'll make this, let's say 450. How long is that going to be? Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit better. And then I'll set the rope swing. Let's change this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go in here. Close this again, or minimize it, and the box collision, let's set to 5. What's that going to be like? And then move it down as well. A little bit bigger. Let's set it to 6. Maybe 6.5. Let's go with 7. I think that's going to look better, and then if we'll just move the cable actor down like this to where I want it to be. I think that's going to be good. You can see obviously the box collision's going too far either way, but that's just because of the way it's currently swinging. The physics of it is messed up a little bit, so that is fine. What I suppose we could do actually to make that even better probably is if we detach it and then attach it again, and then go to cable start instead of cable end, that might actually swing a little bit nicer. So if we just do this to test it, it's kind of the same result, so I think I might just keep it on cable end. like so. But you can customize it and do however you like and whatever works best for you. Because again, it will probably be different based on the size of the cables of whichever one works better. So let's just lower this roof a little bit slightly as well, just so it makes a bit more sense, like so. And then let's hit play and test this out. We're again, wait for it to stop swinging, but again, it doesn't do it as much now. Go on, hold space. We're now attached onto the cable. We're moving with it. And then if we let go of space, we're going to jump off, except we went to 0, 0, 0. So let's have a look at why that happened. And it's because on this detach reactor, we forgot to set the rules. So we want it to be keep world, as we want to stay in the same place in the world. So we will keep world like so. And now let's try that one again. We'll hit space, go over, hold it. Here we go. We're now swinging on it. And if we let go, we're going to jump off like so. Now, obviously, there's no animations that I've got at the moment, but what we're doing in today's video is just the functionality of swinging. As I said in the intro, we're not having animations, we're just swinging. So now we're getting on and off of the cable. What we can do is actually set up the swinging. And now this jump here, we might want to increase later on. I will see how it looks once we have this swinging implemented. But I'm going to select all this and hit C to comment it. And then I will call this getting on and off rope. That makes the most sense for me. And I'll just move this down to be in line like this. I'll compile and save that. And now we're going on to the next parts of swinging and climbing if you want to implement that as well. So this is actually pretty easy. What we're going to do is I'm going to right click and get a W keyboard event. Again, you can do proper input actions if you want. And I'll copy and paste this and then get S as well. Then I will get a reference to our cable reference here. Drag out of this and then get cable component. Probably at the bottom down here. Get cable component. And out of the cable component, we want to just set force. So we can set cable force like so. Connecting that into W. Copy and paste, connect it into S, making sure the target is the same again. Now W is going forwards, so if we minimize this, we'll see what that's going to be here. So this is going to be forwards for me. So you can see in the bottom left, that is going to be on the X axis down here. Now if we also select the cable actor, what we can do is set the cable force here to preview what it's going to look like. So if we set this to 500 on here, you can see that we have force going forwards that way 500. I think that is going to be good for me. So I'll just minimize, so I'll just reset that, go back into my blueprint, and I'll set 500 on the X, and then minus 500 on the X for backwards. And then we can copy, paste this, and change W to be A, and S to be D, and then set this to be 0 on the X, 500 on the Y, 0 on the X, minus 500 on the Y. We'll compile, and play this, and see what this looks like. So let's run over and hold space to jump on it. And if I were to hold W, you see we're swinging forwards. But hold S, we're going to swing back like so. Now that went way too high, so I just need to decrease the force a little bit. So let's set this to actually 100 instead of 500. That might have been way too much. Let's set this to minus 100 as well. And then we'll do the same on the Y. We'll set these to 100 instead. So again, it's just kind of trial and error to see what works best for you. We'll go back in and we'll try this out again to see what this looks like now. W, there we go. I think that is a lot better. It's a lot more subtle. And now obviously what this is doing is it's only doing it once when you press it. So instead of holding it. However, it does feel like it's giving you the illusion of holding it down. So you can increase it gradually as you're holding it. But I think it's fine doing it like this. And if I let go, you see we didn't really jump that far. So I do actually want to increase our jump power up here. So let's set this forward vector to 600 and the up vector to 200 and see what that looks like. That's obviously a lot more powerful, so we'll have a little look here. Jump on, swing back a bit, swing forward, swing back, swing forward. You can see this here, and then hold, let go, and we jump off nicely like that. And you can keep increasing it if you want, or not, or make it even lower. Completely up to you. But I think for me, that's perfectly fine. And just realized we didn't actually check swinging left and right, which you don't have to implement if you don't want. You could just have it swinging one direction like we have. But let's have a look at swinging left and right as well. So that's good, except I'm pressing A and it's going right and D for left. So we just need to modify those values, change them about a bit. And you can see we're swinging perfectly on the rope. Again, there's no animations. However, we're not doing that in today's video. So let's say change these about to be minus 100 on the Y and just positive 100 on the D. So A and D, sorry, not Y. I'll select all these, hit C to comment them, and I'll just name this swing rope. Just swing rope. I was going to say back and forth, but we'll just say swing rope. And there you go. That is, like I say, very, very easy to do. Now, let's also do climbing up and down as well. You don't have to implement this. However, if you want to, it's also fairly easy, but it's a little bit more complex than swinging. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some more keyboard events again, like so. And I'm going to set these to Q and E. You can set these to whatever you want, but I think Q and E makes the most sense. So Q goes down, E goes up, because it's on either side of W. Then I'm going to create some booleans. So let's press the plus variable here, and I'll name this Q held question mark, and this is going to be a boolean. And then I will set this to, and I'll create another one and call this E held question mark. Because what I want to do is if I'm holding a button, I want to climb or go, I want to climb either direction, not just having to press it like we were pressing for the swinging. I want to actually hold it. So let's do climbing up first, which I'm going to do on E. So let's have it E and Q actually this way around. So let's get E held here. We'll hold control. We'll hold Alt to set it. Sorry, not get. And I'm going to set it off of pressed and released. Pressed will obviously be true. Released will obviously be false. So don't tick it there. Then let's hold down B and left click to get a branch. We'll move it all the way over here. And we're going to go from set E held into the branch. But the condition isn't going to be that. The condition wants to be if we are at the highest point of our rope. So we don't want to climb any higher, so we can actually clamp the player between values so they can't just keep climbing higher and higher and higher. So we'll compile and we'll go to the viewport now. And what we're going to do is going to actually add in an arrow component like so. And I'm going to call this one top climb reference. Now this, what I'm going to do is, let's see, is I'm going to rotate it to be pointing the correct direction, and I'm going to move it up to where I want the player to be able to climb. Now it's going to be based on the base point here, so let's move it down to, let's say, there. I think looks good. Have a quick look at our level to make sure that's the right direction, and it is perfect. And then we'll duplicate this and call this one bottom reference, or bottom climb reference, and we'll rotate it to face the other direction, as it just makes the most sense for me, and then move it down again like so. And again, it's based on the base of the arrow like that. So we'll compile that. I think that's good for the moment, but we can obviously change it later on. We'll go back to the event graph, and what we're going to do is we're going to get top climb reference. Out of this, we will get the world location, and we'll right click and split the structure pin of this, as we want just the height, so just the Z value. And then we'll right click and get player character, drag out of this, and get actor location. Right click and split structure pin again, as again, we only want the Z value. Now we'll come out of Z of the world location of the top climb reference and get a greater than or equal to, with that being the Z value of the player location, and that is going to go into our branch. So we only want to continue climbing if the top climb location is greater than the player's current location. So essentially if the player hasn't reached that point yet. So out of true of this branch, we're going to add actor world offset, with the target being our get player character we have down here. So again, I'm going to double click this to get some root nodes to keep it looking nice and organized. Or actually, I might get a new one over here so I don't have to bring it all the way through like that. And then the delta location, what we're going to do is just simply add 1 onto the Z like so. After this, we'll hold down D, left click to get a delay. I'll set the duration to 0.01. Hold down B, left click to get a branch, with a condition being E held. So if the player is still holding E to climb up, true, we'll go into add actor world offset. And we'll double click this to get a root node like so. And this doesn't actually want to go into add actor world offset, sorry. This wants to go into the branch just before it. And then now I will root node it. And so what this is doing is we're going to move the player up by one unit on the Z. Then we'll see if they're still holding down the button to continue climbing. If they are, we'll run a check again to make sure they've not reached the top point. And if they haven't reached it, add it, and then we'll just continue looping that until they either let go of the button or they've reached the top point. So now we just want to do the opposite so we can go down as well. So it's very, very simple and very similar. To the point, in fact, what I'm going to do is copy and paste this code and just change over what we need. So we'll copy and paste, connecting it into pressed and released like so. And I'll move this to be there like that. And then we can drag on Q held onto the set to just change them like this, and then just tick it like that to fix the reference over. Drag bottom climb ref onto top climb ref, and then we'll connect in get player character into the get actor location. I'll connect that in there, the get player character in there as well, so we don't have to duplicate it again. And then change the Z and the add actor world offset from 1 to -1. Then after this, E held wants to instead be Q held, and that is all we need to do for going down as well. So I'll select all this, hit C to comment it, and name this climb up and down. Oh, I'm on caps lock, climb up and down. And then we can see what this looks like, and if we want to change where the locations of the references are as well. So let's hit play, and then once it stops swinging, we'll have a jump on, hold space, and if we hit Q and E, you see Q is at the bottom, so we can go down, E is going up. Can't go up any further than this, that's perfect. And Q isn't actually going down at all, so let's have a look at why Q isn't working. We'll have a look in here, and sorry, it's because what I've done is I need to change over from greater than or equal to less than or equal to for the run check here. So we'll connect that in there like so, because we want to make sure that the bottom player reference is lower than the player's current height. So now we'll try that again, and that should work perfectly. That was the only thing I forgot to change over. So we'll jump on like so. E will climb us up like this, and Q will climb us down like this as well. And we can't go any higher or lower than these values. So that is actually perfect for what we've got. And then we'll hold S and W to start swinging the rope. And we can be climbing while doing this as well. And we'll go down a little bit more. Forwards, backwards, and then jump off like so. So actually, again, I'm not too happy with the jump. So I'm going to increase this a little bit more. Set it to 1200, and we'll see what that looks like. I didn't even jump on it that time. Forgot to hold space, so now we can swing back, swing forwards, swing back, swing forwards, and we'll jump off. See, that is a lot nicer for me. What we can do as well to make this more customizable is what we can do is go back into the blueprint, and then if we go into the construction script, we will get the top climb reference and drag out of this and set relative location. We'll connect that into the, we won't connect to the construction script just yet, actually. What we'll do then is drag out of this and get relative location. Right click the structure pin, split it. Right click structure pin of the set, split it. New location of X and Y, go into X and Y like this. And then the Z, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable and create this top climb limit, setting this to be a float. And then we can connect that into the Z value here like so. Now I'm going to set the default value to what it is in the moment on the reference, which for me is -120. So I will set the default value to be -120. And then if I connect that into the construction script, what we should see is the arrow shouldn't move. So it's moved down slightly. So I think that's just because of it's sideways, so the Z isn't actually the correct Z. So I think it probably wants to be the X instead of the Z. Let's have a look. Yeah, perfect, like so. Okay, and we'll go back into construction script and do the same for going down. So I'll explain why I'm doing this in a second. It will all make sense. I'll copy, paste this, and then change it over to be the bottom climb reference. And then we'll create a new variable for bottom climb limit. And if I actually disconnect this, we can see what the current value is. It is 130. So we'll change that variable over, set it to 130, Connect this in, and then the arrow shouldn't move. Perfect. Now what we can do is tick the I next to both of these variables, compile, and then if we minimize this in the level, you can see we now have select rope swing, top climb limit, and bottom climb limit. So if we adjust these values, you can see it moving in here. So it basically means if you were to duplicate this to have another rope swing somewhere else, you can make this smaller and you can change the limits like so. So that will then work perfectly. But with that, I think that'll be it for this video, where we've gone over creating a very basic rope swing mechanic. Again, there's no animations within this, but we have a very simple mechanic system for swinging back and forth on a rope. So we can jump on and jump off, and we can swing backwards and forwards and left and right. And we can also climb up and climb down again with limits set as well. And again, we can also jump off of the rope like so. Again, a basic system, but one which is a physics-based rope swinging system. No animations, but if you want, I can create another video in the future going over that. The main reason I didn't do any animations within this is because there's not really any good ones or any at all for free. So I've just gone over creating the basic systems here like so. Sorry, that was because I went to jump over the gap, but I was too close. So I accidentally jumped on to the rope swing, and then because I let go of space immediately, it jumped me off. So we hold on, and we can do this. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please do make sure to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help me and the channel out a lot. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.